This is my twin right here. Okay, my twin, where is my twin? That is my twin right here. All right, let me remove my other twin. Where am I? Okay, let me remove. Okay, so this is good right here. So as you look to my side, you will see that you will see the topic here. Ancient wisdom meets modern science. Ancient wisdom meets modern science. All right, let's move on. Now, the empirical and cellular truth of the ancient health principle. The alignment of truth. You know, we tend to talk about relative truth, right? Relative, but I'm talking about absolute truth. The real, can I say the real truth? Today I'm going to talk about the real truth, right? The blueprint, the lifestyle directives, psychological principles, and behavioral models in scripture align with biological laws. So today we're going to look at we're going to look at the book of the law and compare it with modern man, the science, the modern science. That's what we're going to look. We're going to look at the words, the different promises, the different principles in the word, and see if they align or no, if the modern scientific man, if they align with ancient word. Ancient principles function as precise empirical manual for mental resilience, emotional balance, physical health, and cellular integrity. So we're going to look at the word. When I talk about the word, the book of the manual that was given to us. We're going to look at it. It's going to be exciting. If you know of someone that needs to know this information, please go ahead and share the link. No, this wisdom alters biology down to the molecular level, changing gene expression, protecting DNA caps, and structuring the cellular fluid environment. What is this saying? It's saying that the book of the law, the manual that was given to us to operate like we're still in heaven. Oh, mercy. Operate now like we're going to heaven, right? We are going to look at that book and compare the different principles in the book. All right? No worries, Sister Asa, no worries. No, this book of the law, have you heard about this? Joshua 1:8. The word was given to in the time of Joshua, and it says the book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth. The book of the law shall not what? Depart out of thy mouth. But thou shalt do what? Meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written within it, therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. So if you want to have good success, let me just reposition myself. If you want to have good success, right, and be prosperous, then we need to meditate on the book, the word, the book of the law. We need to meditate day and night on the law, the words in the book of the law. We must observe it to do according. So it's not just meditate on it day and night, but we must show that we are meditating day and night. And so my basic my foundational Bible verse is Joshua 1:8. Remember that. We have been educated to think that the Bible is just a religious book, but the Bible is full of principles to direct our feet down here in earth. It covers every aspect of life: mental, spiritual, emotional and physical aspect of our life. If we study it and follow it, we will do what? We will be prosperous and we will have good success. Now, this basic principle. So we're going to look at the principles in the word. We're going to do part 1 and part 2. Today is part 1. The principle of joy and laughter as stress regulation. Joy and laughter. I was reading the word last night, and Paul says in Philippians chapter 4, about 10 or 11 verse, it says that he is content within himself. When we are content, no matter what is going on around your family. The world can be upside down, the house can be burning down, the kids them are acting up. It says that you must be content. Remind me of David, when the 500 or the 600 soldiers wanted to stone David, and David didn't pay them any mind. What did David do? David say what? He encouraged himself in the Lord. Let me move on. And so this first verse from Proverbs, is it truthful? Does science align with what this verse says? It says, a merry heart doeth good like medicine, but a broken spirit drieth the bones. Proverbs 17:20. So we are looking at ancient word. We are looking at the words that were written many years ago. And we're going to look at present day research to see if they align. If the present day research align up with it. Now, Dr. Lee Burke, Loma Linda University, analyzed serial blood sample. Analyze serial blood sample from healthy participants before, during, and after watching a 60-minute comedy video. And so they were perhaps laughing a lot, right? And it says cortisol, cortisol. This is if it's too much, it's our enemy. Can I repeat? If cortisol, we need cortisol. It's not our enemy. It only become our enemy because we are reacting, right? We cause this cortisol to produce. And so after these guys are men or women laugh, it says cortisol dropped by 39%. They didn't need to take a pill. Epinephrine and adrenaline dropped by 70% and Dopac dropped by 65%. Laughter biochemically function like an anti-stress medicine to prevent resource depletion. Did you hear that? And so when I ask you, did you laugh today? Did you smile today? You're getting free medicine. You didn't have to go to the doctor to line up and take a number and then he says, okay, take this. No, all you have to do is decide to laugh, right? Let's move on. So we look at Dopac. What is Dopac? Let's look into it. So Dopac is 3 to 4 dihydrophenolacetic acid is a major chemical breakdown product of the brain chemical dopamine. It is formed when an enzyme called monoamine oxidase, MAO, we call it MAO, right? Changes dopamine. Doctors and scientists test for Dopac to see how fast the body uses up dopamine. And so, if you're feeling down, if the boss is talking to you too harsh, if perhaps your husband and your wife are pushing the wrong button, what should you do? You pray for them and you go in the bathroom and laugh, right? Because we don't want the other person to think that you're laughing at them. But you're laughing just to reduce cortisol, because we know that cortisol is one of the dangerous hormones when it's loose. You understand? When it gets loose, it causes cancer, diabetes, high blood pressure, all of the different diseases. Let's move on. The principle of gratitude, a subjective well-being. The principle of gratitude in everything. And so if someone chop your hand off, it's if in everything. If you buy a brand new Benz, and a gentleman who did not have a license, perhaps he was drinking and ran straight into your car, guess what? In everything, give thanks, for this is the will of God in Christ Jesus concerned. So in everything, first, I want you to write it down. So you have two verses. One verse that you allow you to laugh, and this one allow you to be thankful. And what does modern science say? What does modern science say? It said Dr. Robert A. Emmons, UC Davis, a doctor, and Dr. Michael E. McCullough, University of Maine, tracked nearly 200 young adults for 10 weeks, split into 3 groups. One group is gratitude, hustle, grievance, and neutral. So one had gratitude. One was practicing 1 Thessalonians 5:18. Let's see what was the finding. The gratitude group scored significantly higher on almost every well-being matrix. And so even though you don't feel like being thankful, be thankful. Can I say that? Even though you had a terrible day, the boss gave you too much work, you be thankful. Let's move on. The principle of forgiveness and cardiovascular regulation, well-being. And so the principle of forgiveness, write down this one. This one says, we're jumping too fast. Forbearing one another and forgiving one another, even as Christ forgive you, so also do ye. So you're gonna learn to laugh. You're gonna learn to laugh, right? When you laugh, your muscles exercise. Good muscles are exercise and get rid of those wrinkles, right? And then you're gonna be thankful, and then you're gonna be forgiving, forgiveful. I don't think there's such a word, but forgiving, right? What does it do? And this is this is not 1 Thessalonians 5:18. I want you to search for that. That's a mistake right there, right? So Dr. Charlotte Van Oyen with Liet Hope College monitored physiological stress markers of 71 participants, instructing to alternate between harboring a grudge and practicing forgiveness for past real injuries. What was the finding? Harboring a grudge trigger immediate, intense psychological strain. And so we have that unforgiveness. Let me enlarge myself. We have that unforgiveness. We hold it, we carry it to the bathroom, we carry it to the toilet, we carry it to the kitchen, we carry it to the bedroom, you carry it to work, you carry it to the gas station, you carry it to, you just everywhere you have that yamba on that unforgiveness. Guess what? Your cortisol is being constantly developed, right? And so we need to let go. And they have a verse say, let God. Is that a verse? Let go and let God, family. So how much things have we learned thus far? We have learned how many? Put it, no, you can't talk. Let me make sure that you can. Yeah, you can put it in the chat. Write them down in the chat. Right? Welcome, Jade, and welcome everyone for coming in. Thanks. You could be anywhere. Rose, welcome. Who else is here? Right? All right, 3. So we looked at, what are the 3? We looked at number one, laughter. Number 2, we had laughter. That was number 1. We have Thanksgiving, right? Then we had forgiveness. And number 4, let's look at number 4. No, let's go back. So individuals who harbored a grudge trigger immediate, intense physiological strain, right? Sharp surge in blood pressure. So your blood pressure went up, right? Because of unforgiveness. Blood pressure, heart rate, and facial muscle tension occur during unforgiveness. Cardiovascular and neuromuscular response immediately calm upon practicing forgiveness. Oh, family, we need to forgive. We have some baggage from we were small. We need to call that person if we can and say, I am sorry, I forgive you. Remember, forgiveness is not for the other person. It is good because if the other person is thinking about you, that they might have done something to you, you need to let them free, right? You need to let them free them up, right? And so forgive is important. Let's move on. So we looked at forgiveness, cardiovascular and neuromuscular response immediately calm upon practicing forgiveness. We learned that. Now let's look at the principle of generosity. Pro-social giving. You know, if you're not giving, you cannot open to receive. Look at it. If I give you something, don't my hand need to be open? Let's look at it. Remember the words of the Lord. Acts 20:35. Remember the words of the Lord. Remember, we are looking at ancient words, and we're going to look at, we are looking at what science say against the ancient, the basic instruction before leaving earth. Remember the words of the Lord Jesus. So he said, it is more blessing to give than to receive. It is more blessing. So let's look at what science is saying concerning this verse. Dr. Elizabeth Dunn, University of British Columbia, gave 46 campus participants envelope with $5 or $20, randomly assigning half to spend it on themselves personal and half on someone else charity. Pro-social. What was the finding? Pro-social spenders reported significant greater post-spending happiness than personal spenders. What is this saying? This is saying that when they gave away the money, instead of spending the money on themselves, they gave away that money. And they had happiness. They felt happy. right? When you give, you get a blessing, even if you don't want that blessing. What are the biological core? The effect was completely independent of the dollar amount. So if you have $1, it will have the same effect. Neural reward pathway lift up exclusively during selfless giving. Give, where you can give selflessly when you're driving and that person wants to come over. Put your foot on the brake. Before doing so, look behind, make sure no one is right behind you. Touch your brake and allow that person to come in. All right, let's look at other principles. As I shared with you, if you're just coming on, we are looking at the principles of health in the Bible, and we are looking at research. If these research backs the principles of health that was given to us so that we can survive here on earth. The principle of present moment, present moment, focus anti-anxiety. Let's look at that verse. This verse, take therefore no thought for tomorrow, for the morrow shall take thought for things of itself. Sufficient unto the day is the evil thereof. So take therefore. So we are sitting right here, family. You are sitting right here, wherever you are sitting. Perhaps you are lying down. And you go into the future and you bring future problem into today. You bring all of the problems that you might be thinking of and bring them right here. What this is saying, don't do it. Stop it. Let's look at the research. Dr. Matthew Killingworth and Dr. Daniel Gilbert, Harvard University, tracked 2,250 adults globally via app to monitor happiness, current tasks, and real-time mind wandering. What was the finding? The human minds wander roughly 46.9% of the time. So half of the time we are wandering. Mind wandering to future anxieties or past regrets is a primary driver of human unhappiness. Individuals are significantly less happy when their minds wander than when fully present. So be right there in the moment, family, and stop wondering what you're wondering about. Right? Stop it. So we need to control our brain. We need to practice good mindfulness. Right? And so what did we learn thus far that we need to give? It can be a good morning. It don't have to be money. Be kind. Be kind, family. Forgive. Research, back up, forgive, and be present. Stop worrying about tomorrow. Tomorrow take care of itself. When you get to tomorrow, then you face it. The mind. Let me move on. Oh, mercy. So the principle of rest, recovery, and Sabbath detachment. This is important because we are constantly running. That tiger during the week constantly running, and then on the weekend that tiger is still running us down, and Sunday we are still running. And so we don't stop and say, tiger, give me a rest. Give me a rest, tiger. Just back off. Just easy and give me a rest on the Sabbath day. Hear what it says. 6 days shall thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not take up a pin. Exodus 29:10. Hear what it says. Dr. Sabine Sonnentag and Dr. Charlotte Fritz, University of Mannheim, track 163 professional employees across consecutive weeks to measure psychological detachment from work during rest. What was the finding? Intentional detachment predicted of elite employee resilient. Elite employee resilient. So when you take a rest and not think about anything, guess what happened? You become elite employee and you have resilience. Resilience, right? Disconnecting on rest day resulting in sick, and sometimes we work harder than on any other day. Oh, mercy. Disconnecting on rest day resulting in significant lower emotional exhaustion, zero burnout, and dramatically higher task performance upon return to work. Can you imagine that? And so if you're joining us, we've been looking at the ancient word, the book of the law, the manual that was given to us, the Bible, right? And then we are looking at research to see if it's in line with the ancient word. Oh, mercy. And so far we have seen that. The principle of present moment focus. I think we did that. Take therefore no thought. We did that. All right, let's move on to the next one. Principle of rest. We did that. I repeated it. Okay. All right. The principle of modifying self-talk, and thought frameworks. The principle of modifying self-talk. You know, we talk to ourselves. And we are mean to ourselves. We say some things to ourselves we shouldn't, right? Whatsoever things are true, honest, if there be any virtue and if there be any praise, think on these things. Philippians 4:8. I've been practicing that verse. That verse is for health. If you want mental wellness, anything. So I've been doing some research, and I'm going to call it thoughtology or thinktology. And you have 4 seconds to analyze the thought that comes in. Anything that comes into the brain, you have 4 seconds to analyze it and repackage it if needs be. And so that 4 seconds that you have, then you look at these, whatsoever, finally, brethren, whatsoever is true, whatever is honest, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is good report, if there be any virtue, if there be any praise, think on these things. And so you use this verse to analyze that thought and repackage if you need to package it, because 4 seconds, if you don't analyze it, it turns into biology, either hormones, some hormones, either negative or positive hormones, which affect the body. We don't have any free thoughts. Anything that you think of turns into hormones. It affects the cellular level. Think about that. Right? That's why I say think about these things. So this is a principle by itself. Let's move on. So Dr. Ethan Cross, University of Michigan, had 89 participants prepare a difficult 5 minutes public speech using either first person talk, why am I nervous, or distant self-talk, why is Courtney nervous? That's funny. Defining, controlling, and reframing internal thought pattern objectively mitigate emotional distress. So what you think affect your body. The distance self-talk group experience significantly lower social anxiety and less post-event shame, performing objectively higher according to independent judges. And so what you say to yourself, you know, I can bring this closer to me. A few years ago, when I became a medical missionary, it was just getting started. I became a medical missionary, and I was shy, right? I was shy. I am not shy, no. I was shy. When I mean shy, and one of the objectives that I had to do was go in front of the church and talk about health. And it came to me that I said this to myself, that it's not about me, but about the Lord. And so, despite self being nervous, I am going out there to present. And since that day, I have been presenting to God. I give the glory. So the distance, so self-talk, what you say to yourself affect you in a positive or negative way, right? The principle of truthfulness and autonomic strain. If you tell lie, and whoever tells lie, it affects them in a negative way. We don't understand how the brain affects the body, and our thinking affects our body. And so you have to be careful what you say. We need to be careful what we say to ourselves and to others, because whatever you say to others, it affects you too. And so we need to run and walk around with our hand over our mouth, or keep Philippians 4:8 right there. And so anything that we're gonna say, we're gonna think about it and see if it have any praise, if it's truthful, if it's honest, right? So let's look at the principle of truthfulness and autonomic strain. The lip of truth shall be established for ever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. And that's Proverbs 12:19. Hear what it says. Dr. Anita E. Kelly, University of Notre Dame, ran 10-week Science of Honesty study with 110 individuals, instructing half to strictly stop telling major or minor lies, validated by weekly polygraph and medical exam. By week 10, the honest group suffer fewer mental health complaints, tension, melancholic, and significantly fewer physical issues such as sore throat and headache. Now, what sore throat has to do with me telling lie? But your mind, what you think affects your cellular level. I want you to think about that. If you say it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen, and it's going to affect you in a negative way. If you say you're going to be sick and you continue saying that, you're going to be sick. The mind is a power. What affects the mind affects the body, and whatever affects the body affects the two of them are intertwined. And so we need to be careful what we say and what we think. All right. Okay. All right, let's move on. And so I'm learning and I'm being careful. The principle of humility and team performance. When pride cometh, then cometh shame, but with the lowly is wisdom. Proverbs 11:2. What was the finding? No, let's go back. Dr. Bradley Owen, Brigham Young University, evaluate 218 leaders and their organizational teams to map the tangible business effects of leader humility, admitting mistakes, spotlighting others, and strength. And what was the finding? Lowliness and mind optimize collective output by creating an atmosphere of psychological safety. Leaders' humility directly mitigate employee turnover, dramatically enhance job satisfaction, and trigger a trickle-down effect, expanding collaboration and innovation. And so just by being what? Humble, right? Admitting that you were wrong. And if one of your workers did something Just encourage them and say it. Yes, I am happy that you did that. You did a wonderful job. It changed. Remember, there weren't any money involved here. It's just how you communicate with the other person, right? And this is the last one. I'm gonna stop here, and then I do part 2 next week. The principle of community and social connection. They say that single persons, person who are single, it's like smoking, I think, 15 packs of cigarette. When you're single, that means you stay by yourself, right? Thank you, Kiva. The principle of community and social connection. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their labor. For if they fall, the one will lift up his fellow. Ecclesiastic 4:9-10. What's the research? The Harvard Study of Adult Development, Dr. Robert Waldinger and Dr. George Valiant tracked 724 men across 85 years from adolescent to old age with serial blood sample, brain scan, and deep interview. What was the finding? The single strongest predictor of long-term physical health, mental clarity, and longevity was the quality of close social relationship. Did you hear that, family? Just by being in a family, not even, they don't have to be family, but be friendly, right? With in a community, doing things for others. You live longer, right? You didn't have to take any medication, right? You didn't have to see the doctor. All you have to be is socially accepted. Be social, right? If I didn't have a church and I heard this, I will just go and sit down. I don't need to say anything to anyone. Just sit down there and be friendly, right? And so that's so the biological core. Loneliness was proven to be highly toxic. Come, let me repeat. Loneliness was proven to be highly toxic. Sorry, accelerating physical decline and shortening lifespan as much as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And so there's a verse in the Bible that talks to those that have friends have to show themselves friendly. Be the first one. Yeah, man, I was at a location and I saw 3 ladies sitting down there. I was on vacation and I saw 3 ladies sitting down there, or 4 or 5, 5 of them. And I went over and I said, you guys have mangoes? Where do you live? Do you have mango tree? That break, so to those who have friends, you have to, don't wait on anyone. Oh, they didn't come over and talk to me. Stop it. Stop it. Go over and be friendly. Say hi. Say hello. How you doing? Are you good? Yes, man. Be friendly. We cannot be just stuck up and say, oh, they didn't talk to me. And so on that note, I hope that you have learned a few verses and that you have learned that you're going to change. You're going to change how you look at the Bible. The Bible is full of principles, and when we practice these principles, guess what's happening? When we practice this principle, we have success. That's what it says. We prosper and we have success. Mental health improve, physical health improve, spiritual health improve, and that other one that I always forget, improve all aspect of health. And so I want to thank you for being with me. And my appeal is that I want you to start practicing these simple, as someone put in the chat, laughed. laugh, smile. The body don't know if it's a fake laugh. It affects the body anyway, right? Be thankful. We complain about everything and don't look at what we have. Be forgive. Someone did something to you, be the first, even if they did something against you, forgive them. Or you did something, whatever it is, forgive them. I want you to give something, to find something to give. It don't have to be money. People believe that it has to be more. No, no, no. Just call up someone and say, hi, I'm just calling you to say, I love you. Something. Yes, man. Right? I want you to also be present. Don't worry about, okay, when I retire, no, 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 no. Oh man, next week oh man, where that money, where the bill? No, no, stop it, stop it. Just be in the moment and be thankful in the moment that you are not connected to a machine in the hospital, right? That you're able to feed yourself, that you're able to wipe your butt, right? Be thankful that you're able to chew, you have your own teeth to chew food. Oh, man, you have people that have no teeth and they can't smile because if they smile, it's just gum. And so be thankful. What else? What else that we need? As I see, Kiva, thank you for putting that in the truth. Be truthful. Be honest. Watch what you say to yourself and watch what you say to the other person. It affects you. It's like a boomerang. You just throw it and it comes back and hit you in your head, right? And this will clean off the mental baggage and all we think. It will change our neuron. Our cells will change just by doing these things, right? And so I want to thank you as we transition over to any question. Let's put that. Any question. Let me see. You can. I'm gonna unmute. Any question or anything that you would like to share, what you have learned, what you have been doing. You can unmute yourself or raise your hand. Don't be shy like me, no? Go ahead, Colleen.
Good evening. Great presentation. I have a quick question, sort of statement. What about when someone speaks something negative into you as a child, and then somehow, like, I'm I'm speaking personally, like, I had a parent that spoke something very negative into my spirit, and I don't believe it about myself. But then, like, now, even in my adult age, I just feel like the negativity that was spoken into me, I don't know if subconsciously I believe it, and I'm trying to convince myself that I don't, but I feel like it just kind of manifests itself in my life, my present life.
So thank you for sharing, Sister Colleen. Because it's like your brain, because it's in the back of your, call it back of your brain, and it keeps occasionally you think about it. So you see, every time you think about it, it creates reinforce itself then, right? And so it keep, and so you have to, the moment it comes in, you go to Philippians. So you're gonna practice, you're gonna study Philippians 4:8, right?
Mhm.
And so when that thought comes in, you're gonna stop that thinking, that, and don't turn it into a snowball. You're gonna stop it right there, and then you're gonna come over to Philippians 14. Is true? Right? That's the first thing. Is this true? And there's a big no right there, right? Is this honest? And so you change all you think. So you keep replacing that thought with a positive thought, because you know it's not true, right?
Yeah.
All right. So you know it's not true. So the moment it comes in, you just put in that, and you have to learn to stop it. So the moment it comes in, you say, whatsoever things are, is this true? Ask the question, is this true? Right? Is this giving any praise? Right?
Mercy.
Is it lovely? And replace it and say, this is not true. And think of something else. Think on these things. That's the power of word. You redirect your mind. And so every time it comes in, you put something better inside of it. You be thankful. God, I want to thank you for keeping me. All
Mm.
these years, you have kept me, and I know you're going to keep me. I thank you. I'm in good health. Find something to be thankful for.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, my sister. There was another hand that went up. You can go ahead and unmute. Yes? All right. Jennifer, yes, Sister
Yeah,
Jennifer, go
hi.
ahead.
Hi, good night. As what you say, Paul said that in whatever situation he is, he's always, try to be content. So, I'm so glad that you touch on that, part because sometimes, as what the lady said, things that happen in your past, it comes back and sometimes it really mess up your day or just your mental, our mental our spiritual, attitude, if that's the right way I should put it. But I am happy that you touched on that because, sometimes, you look back at your life and you say, you wish things were different. You wish you could do things differently. But that's why you said, Paul said, whatever position we're in, to be content and be grateful. That's why you said some people can't eat. As I said that to my husband the other day while I was, saying my grace. I say, how many people out there can't enjoy this food, have the food and see it and can't eat it. So, I'm grateful that, I have life and,